Hey,
All right. Good morning.
we're at 28,
Got it.
verse
Numbers 28 and verse what?
12 is where we
Verse
start.
12. All right. So we left off and we were talking about bringing in the rams of 7 years
In the beginning of the months.
in the beginning of the month. So you'll notice there's no festival day for the first day of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not the new moon festival, which have a separate ordering, which calls for a goat. So the
Mm-hmm.
first day of the month, the priests are constantly and consistently giving a sacrifice on the first of the month. But this begins with the perpetuals. So if you don't have the every day, the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, up until Shabbat, you doesn't make sense for you to try to keep a festival day,
Right.
and you can't keep the perpetual day. So you have to keep the perpetual days, and then the first days, and then you can be able to keep the new moons, and then you start coming into your feast days as you have sufficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Sufficiency. So you have to have the stuff to perform,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And what happens is if you, an individual, doesn't have it,
Mm-hmm.
you, the individual, you don't have it. Don't worry. The Most High know you don't have,
Right.
right? But if we make sure that the prince, the king, has it for the high priest and the priesthood, then it covers the nation.
Mm-hmm.
It covers all,
Right.
right? So you start out as this is everybody together. We're trying to make sure we start out and we have the prince has what he needs for the priesthood to begin the perpetuals, the first of the month, and getting those things together step by step. The next thing you want to start to do is building yourself
Mm-hmm.
into where you can have for what you want to do, right? So now there's a growth process. So now the king is doing what he's supposed to do for the Most High, but at the same time, he has to be doing for the growth of the nation, for the people as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a symbiotic relationship. Everybody is doing their part for the growth.
Right.
And if you notice, the Most High doesn't want from your lack.
Yes.
He doesn't want you, if you just get one sheep, well, I got one. No, no, no. Keep that. Go get another one and make more.
Mm-hmm.
Keep breeding
Right. Until you have
till
what
you
you
have
need.
sufficiency.
Mm-hmm.
This is his proof. He's like, if you do this for it's the purpose be to me, then do it this way and see if I don't increase you, and then give from the increase I give you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a totally different mindset than what people have been taught. So when he says that the people are poor, he says give to community to establish community, right? Give to community to establish community. Don't give to church.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give to a religion.
Right.
Your money is supposed to be directed towards building a community, a sanctuary, and then move into the sanctuary as it is built, as you create more and more space.
Mm.
There's no excuse for what we've been doing.
On verse 11,
Mm-hmm.
when it says, two young bullocks, just for the beginning of months,
Mm-hmm.
without mixture, one ram, and lambs of the year 7.
Yeah.
Unblemished. So the lambs, is that two lambs? Or how many lambs is that?
It tells you right here. Look. One ram.
Oh, so the ram is the lamb.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Rams and lambs is the same. The ram is the
Okay.
male sheep.
Okay.
So you take one of year 7.
Mm. Now, preparing for that with the lamb for the 7 years, is there any special way that you have to do with that lamb for the offering, like have it separated
Everything
or anything?
follows. We read all that. Now, so this is a good question. So you read all of that in Leviticus.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So what you want to do is you layer it. Let me put this down for a second. You compile this information. So you look at this request, and then you go back to the law for the preparation of the rams and the lambs for this sacrifice.
Okay.
So you have to layer it. So you'll notice that whole rams and lambs, there is split in twain. One is given for a burnt offering,
Mm-hmm.
half for a burnt offering, for sin offering, and the other half for an oblation.
Okay.
So this is where the consistency of layering your information.
Okay.
There is only two ways to prepare an offering or a sacrifice.
Yes, sir.
Only two, right? So if this is what the priest is constantly or consistently preparing, the
Mm-hmm.
perpetual sacrifice is the same. You prepare it in the traditional way. You split it in half, in twain,
Mm-hmm.
not across like top half, bottom half,
Right. Straight
straight
down.
down the middle.
Right.
And then you're going to send half to a burnt and half to
To
an
an
oblation.
oblation. Right.
And that's why I said you start to notice what people miss is we get to Numbers and then they act like we don't have an instruction for this. No, we have the instruction in Leviticus. Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy all stack on top of each other.
Yes, sir.
So that when you're reading something, you can go back and reference. You're going to go back and reference.
Okay.
So prepare this for this, okay? If you want the exact instructions on how to do that, you're going to begin by referencing back to Leviticus for the preparation of the ram's sacrifice.
Okay.
Each one that goes after the same ordinance, that's how you create a tradition.
Okay, so like with the red heifer, it speaks about keeping it from getting unblemished and all that kind of stuff. Is the same procedure?
No, the
It
red
be a
heifer.
different?
So if it isolates a procedure,
Yes,
right,
sir.
saying this is the procedure for the red heifer, then the priest writes a card, and this is red heifer.
Okay.
That's it. This is for cleansing of the children.
Right.
That's one of a kind. Nobody eats the red heifer.
Right.
It's burnt to ash.
She's right. Right.
Red heifer. Now, when we're talking about perpetual sacrifice, well, there's a traditional rite. This is done every day.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a burnt and you
And
have
have
an
an
oblation.
oblation.
When you're
Right.
talking about New Moon Festival, you're gonna have a burnt and you're gonna have an oblation.
Oblation. Okay.
We're talking about first of the month, you're gonna have a burnt, you're gonna have an oblation. This regular. So the ordinances of how they file out,
Mm-hmm.
you can put them into a general category. What is
Okay.
to be eaten and what
What's
is
not?
not eaten.
Right.
The red heifer not eaten, it have a special ordinance,
Yes.
right? If the priest sin, this not eaten, it have a perpetual ordinance,
Okay.
right? So you're looking at it and saying, "Oh, this is just the regular offering for the first of the month. It's going to be eaten.
Okay.
This is going to be
Be
eaten."
eating. Okay.
You see?
Yes.
So there's a layering. If it says specifically not eaten, give
Right.
yourself a footnote. This not eaten. This is special.
Okay.
If it's to be eaten, it's going to be burnt. Oblation.
Right.
There is, and every offering is either only going to be one of the two, unless it is of a special order.
Okay. Okay. It's good to know. To make sure about with the care of the animal and stuff like that.
Right.
Separated.
If it's being separated, then it's understand. Separated means literally that. This is separated. It's for a special purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Never, we didn't read anywhere at any time they're gonna eat the red
No,
heifer.
no,
As
no,
a
it
matter of
doesn't.
fact, it's completely burnt to
Mm.
ashes and then put in jars and water.
Yes. Right.
Absolutely burnt and then sprinkled.
Mm.
So this not like the rams. These rams and bullocks and everything else you're
Yeah.
reading here. These is
Oh yeah, I was just
eaten.
thinking about as far as the care of the animal, you know, for the offering. Is there any, you know, certain way that, you know, because that's how the example of the red heifer. I remember it talked about having it separated from the rest, and you know,
Right. Yeah,
as
but
far as
this
their care.
once you see, because well, it's going to remain with the flock. You may notice it, but
Okay.
you're waiting because it may change and grow a spot
Oh,
and coming up. So while it's nursing, you're not going to take it away from the mother.
right.
Once it stops nursing and you start noticing it's maturing, and you say, "Hey, we got this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to separate it and set it aside. We don't want it to
Okay.
get injured. We don't want it to get any infection. This
Mm.
one, this is a special one. The priest need it. There's a whole
Right. Ordinance for it.
ordinance for it.
Yes, sir.
This one's special, but we set it
Okay.
aside. It's for this. That's the red heifer, but that's
Yes.
one of a kind,
Kind. Okay.
right? The
Okay.
first,
Good to
also
know.
the first born male, like bullock, ram, sheep, that also gets set aside to the Most High. But you put all the firstlings together, and they just go into the priest. This is for the priest. So when you say, "Where's the priest getting the animals for the perpetuals?" It's from the firstlings,
Mm.
right? So the
Right.
priest is breeding firstlings from firstlings.
Mm.
So they're still shepherding. The priesthood is still not, it's not just waiting on the congregation,
Right.
right? But you say, how is the priest shepherding and they don't have a land portion? Right. That's because the high priesthood is dwelling with the prince, and the
Mm.
prince is producing
Mm.
that the offering and the sacrifices fail not.
Mm.
That's why the kings and princes have so much,
Mm.
because he has to make sure the Levites are being fed that serve in the temple. The ones that live out in the field, they have a small little lot of land and they're participating in the communities. They have little things and they're still part of the
Right, because they're dwelling with the other tribes, so
right. So they
yeah,
have they're
where their
getting their
houses.
little offerings and sacrifices for sin and this and that. They're an extension
Mm-hmm.
of the tabernacle among the people. So they're receiving what they get there. But at the temple itself, where the people can't really approach, you're talking about it's the king and he has to have bountiful harvest because the sacrifices cannot fail, not nan day. Not
Wow.
nan day.
Mm.
So that's why the princes have so much. It's really the sustainment of the priesthood. It's
Mm.
not like the prince, I'm rich because I'm rich. He has to have backup of grain stores for the people in case of anything. He has to have like everything is like supporting the nation and backing it up because you don't know what disaster may come. A storm can come, we flood this field. Okay,
Mm.
here for this, fix this. It's the maintenance of the nation, keeping it performing at a high level, supporting one and another.
You know, it's interesting to see that in the way we are responsible of living and walking in the orders with the king. It's not about him being served. It's about him serving the people. And in him serving the people, he is served.
Right. If he has to provide for the people, and then from the people he is entitled to X, Y, and Z for his service.
Right.
There is an exchange. but it's lined out by the law. It's not me, me, me.
Right. In which in Western society and other nations, that's what it's kind of
It's warped into.
is warped into, and
It's
it's
warped
like,
into. But again, Western society, you're out there, you're not even supposed to be there. It's the only reason why you out there is because of a continuation and a perpetuation of sin. That's the fact. Like in Western society, you are consistently like living in a perpetual sinful way. You can't buy land in Western society because it's coveting someone else's land,
whoa.
right? Technically, this is for the children of Israel, which is why the other lands, they don't even sell it to you because they don't even want you getting a foothold. So they're constantly charging you taxes and fees for staying there, right? So you can do what you want, but the benefits are always lacking.
Understood.
You know, the benefits are always lacking. Like people who go from, Israelites who go from whatever country they're in, they go to other countries, but they're all literally seeking and avoiding the same thing. They're seeking the country in which they could prosper, but they're avoiding contributing to their home base, to their country, to their nation to prosper.
Wow.
Right? And I mean, they can make a bunch of arguments, right? Well, why should we give it to you? Why should we accept you as king? Okay, don't.
Exactly.
No, really, like just
Yeah.
just don't. One of the proofs of 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 having the blood right and being the appointed king for a time is being driven or forced to come to the king. This is a sign, okay? You'll be driven or forced to come. So don't. This is my whole point about like I know I'm not gonna go viral, right? Because in truth, right, you have to be forced to come here. It can't be because I was famous. It cannot be because I was popular or rich or anything else. You have to come because either one, it was revealed to you where you saw the truth and you came, or the Most High cut off and destroyed wherever you were, and you thought about, well, maybe I can check out this one dude. If he's still out there, I'll go over there because he's still doing all right. I'll help them over there, and maybe, I'll have peace of mind. That's a force play. So go to Africa, go to India, go to the Philippines, go to Brazil, go everywhere. You have to be forced to come here if you regular folk, regular folk.
Rabbi Shane, there was a person that was in my life. And because in the beginning, a part of their heart somewhat reminded me of the things that I read of David out of the other books, translations, but then when I start getting in here, about a year and a half ago is when I first obtained the Targum and got to reading it and everything. I recognized that first of all, my presumption and evaluation was wrong because I was looking at it from an emotional and feelings aspect. But this book gives you precise details of what the king to come is to be. And so when because I was put in a situation that I was forced to come into your direction, you know, and as we were talking, I would listen, and as I would go back and read, it was like, I was like, wait a minute. Everything that he has done, your journey of what you have shared, what I have witnessed myself, it's like, wait a minute. I believe that he is the king. And I even share that with a couple of people, but one thing you never did was announce or proclaim, this is who I am, this is the way it's supposed to be. It's totally opposite, because actuality, your thing is, I can just be off by myself with my little farm and my own little sheep and raise my flock and camels, and I'm good. But as the days go by, and one of the main things that I had to do with being a part of house of Dawood and the house of instruction is I had to let go of everything that I had learned or come to or think I knew. I had to start off like a child. And that's why with you and Sheikah, I see y'all as like my parents. You know what I mean? Because I am learning by example. Like you said, you need the hands-on
You got to
with
have the
with the
hands on.
schooling.
You got to sit down and you really have to embrace the process.
Yes.
I mean, I never came out and was like, I'm the king. Everybody should listen to
No.
me. As a matter of fact, the one thing I do say is, well, the instructions say
Yes.
to do this.
Yes.
Okay? And the instruction says, if you are from my family and my bloodline, should you find these instructions and seek the fear of the Most High, you will do these things.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Most High anoint you, you are anointed with the word. Now, I'm not talking about with oil.
Right.
If you are anointed with the word and you have the gift of understanding, then the Most High, if he has appointed you to it, he will let you succeed in this path.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do it, having the understanding, the Most High will destroy you and your household.
Yeah.
Okay. I really, honestly, because I could understand what was being presented, I just tried, right? I
Mm.
tried just to see if it be sure it wasn't me.
So how that go for you?
It didn't work out too well, but I tried
Yes.
because it was like, well, if it is, it is, and if it's not, it's not.
Right.
I am sick of the current situation.
Mm.
But okay, if I put my hand out to try and attempt this according to the understanding that I'm receiving from the text, let me see where the road ends.
Mm.
Because in any case, if it's somebody else, let them be great and I'll just support them.
Right.
I can support. I'm fine with supporting. Now, okay, the tables kind of changed. It's in my court. It's I'm placed with the judgment. I've been proven across several continents. My birthright has been ratified across several continents. I mean, so okay, it's my responsibility, right? And I have the manuscripts and the instructions. So I just sit here and do it.
Mm-hmm.
That has nothing to do with like I'm king. You don't have
No.
to listen. Do your own thing. I'm here to tell you what the end of your judgment will be, proving I am who I say I am, and the
Yes.
Most High is real. You want to go anywhere in the world? Go there. If you want to wait where you are, wait.
Wait. Hmm.
Here's what's coming. The great war is upon us. The Great War, right? There's several wars that have not happened in history as of late. Okay? The war between Iran and these people over here has not happened yet. It's getting ready. It's cooking up. The war to bring down and destroy all nations, right? So that we can build up, because you're not going to become great after they bomb everything. Anybody who tells you that is delusional. They're going to bomb everything. And I mean, everybody's going to be brought down so that we can be rebuilt as a nation in the wilderness like our forefathers was when they came out of Egypt. Back then, Egypt was the only major superpower. Everybody else was brought down because of famine. Then after Egypt was brought down and destroyed, right? We was just wandering around, building ourselves up. Okay? The children of Israel did not go to war for 40 years. There was nobody to war with. I mean, there was a little skirmish on the way out, the Amalekites did attack, on the way out, but you're talking about today, we don't have enough organization to wage any type of war. You lack the finances, you lack the means, you lack the technology, you lack the equipment, you lack the personnel, you lack the planning and organization.
And the instructions on how to fight.
You lack all instructions on how to do it.
Yeah. Because
I don't
what you think.
I don't care how much you work out.
Yeah.
I don't care how much kung fu or karate or whatever fighting style you're not equipped for war. You may be able to defend yourself personally, but against the system, you are completely powerless. You're completely powerless. I'm here with an alternative system. Well, but what makes your system so great? It's the only system that's not in use. Every system not only has to be built, it has to be tested. It has to have proven outcomes. Mine has proven outcomes. You see? So I'm telling you from a standpoint of you don't have to listen to me. You can go on and go about your way, go about your decisions, right? I'm just telling you because the instruction says to tell you. I'm teaching because the instruction says teach it.
Yeah.
I studied it because the instruction said study it. I lived it because the instruction says you have to live this custom and traditional way. I did it because the instruction said I have complete success. I am sustained sufficiently. I don't have a need. I don't have a lack. Okay? I have a beautiful family. You, the people, don't. You don't understand. You don't know how to build for yourself. I can show you where Moses prayed and said, give them a wise king and prince at that time. Wisdom comes from knowing the law, knowing the rules, knowing what guaranteed outcomes are. But you don't know your law. I don't care if you have a 1611. I don't care if you have a Septuagint. I don't care what you have.
You don't know the law.
You have no idea. You know nothing. I don't care if you read Dead Sea Scrolls or whatever. If you're not listening to this collection, which I am telling you, which I am teaching you from, because I've already tested it in the land, living with it exclusively, then you have no idea. You don't know what the borders of Israel are. You don't know how to get out of your current situation.
You don't even have the complete instruction.
You don't
just have
know
bits and pieces.
You don't even have bits and
thing.
you don't even have bits and pieces. It's like you have a 1,000 piece puzzle.
Yeah.
And then somebody took out 750 pieces.
Ooh, yeah. That's pretty much how it is.
We'll be back. So It's like having a 1,000-piece puzzle and somebody took out 750 pieces.
Do we need to change the battery?
No, I just
Okay,
was the
okay,
first
okay.
filming. And you only have 750 pieces. Those 750 pieces are clearly missing, and you're not able to piece it together. And I'm telling you because I've already done the work. I've tested it. Right. This is not my first year. This is not my second year. This is not a book I just found, and I'm trying to do breakdowns to you. I've already lived it for 7, 8 years, and now I'm coming to you now out of command, having completed my course, to say these things have to be established over the next 2. And we're already halfway through year 1. Now, if you don't listen, don't listen. Don't worry about it. The Most High has a force play here. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's a force play. The war is coming. Your sons, your husbands, your fathers are getting ready to die. A lot of the women are getting ready to die. The nations are getting ready to come crumbling down. Everyone around you is getting ready, and you have nowhere to run, and you believe in an idol that cannot save. Why? It says you will worship among the Gentiles, amongst idols that cannot save. That's what you're doing.
Same thing like when Balaam saw the idols in Dan, and Amalek and them was able to come in and destroy them because of the idol within them. Yeah.
Well, that's 2 different times.
Right.
So Amalek
Yeah.
fought them in Egypt,
Yeah.
and Dan had idols, and yeah, they got killed. That's what's going to happen. You see, with Balak, he wanted Balaam to curse them because he saw they still had idols, and it didn't work then. No, the Most High didn't let them see them how they were because they were walking in process. It takes time to get these people together. It's not like the Most High expects you to get 100% today. However, step 1 is reasonable. Step 1, chip in, give to buy land. Give. Whether you coming or not, if you black, you should give to buy this land to build this kingdom. And I'm not talking about, some kingdom in heaven. I'm talking about legitimately a province of land for us, by us, for our people, by our people. Now, if you don't want to, I don't believe it. This could be a scam. Listen, you've been scammed 100,000 times. 100,000. What's $10 really going to hurt you? That's how much I'm not scamming. Because if you don't, it doesn't matter. Trust me, it doesn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? There's a large lump sum of money en route right now, on the way. Okay? It's already in process. All right? This was supposed to be your good deed so that there's a record for you, so that when the day of your troubles come, you have a place to go. For you. Right? For you to show your righteousness, because this doesn't even make it to everybody. I promise you.
Yeah.
Because everybody is getting this filter. Like there's a filtering coming. Nobody's going to be in their countries that they were born in recently here in a few minutes. Everybody's going to return back to some place where they're from. You'll see as this war passes through, you're going to recognize how dependent you are on the system. So, back to the reading. Now, I want to point out something here in chapter 28. Okay? So, if you notice, he says, instruction to say to them, the priest may eat of my oblation. So he tells you this is part of the oblation.
Yes.
That's in verse 2 and 28. Then you'll see in verse uh in verse 11, this is a burnt sacrifice. So he's laying out what's to what, what's for what, and this is for eating.
Okay.
So everything, the Most High, he's very meticulous, but
Yes.
you have to watch the wording
Yes, sir.
carefully. Every word on every page is important. So he'll say, this is an oblation, this is a burnt sacrifice.
Okay.
However, this is the book of in the desert, it is a witness. If you want the details of what's to be done, the details are in the book of Lawika. Lawika. All right? Leviticus. Okay? So, continuing with verse 12.
Yes.
3/10 of flour mingled with oil for a minka, which is bread, for one bullock. 2/10 of flour mingled with oil for a minka for one ram. 1/10 of flour mingled with oil for a minka for each lamb of the burnt offering and oblation to be received with favor before Yah, and for their libations, for the wine that is poured out on them, or on the floor, or on the fire, or wherever it is poured out.
Right.
Okay, that's what libation is. It's the pouring out of drink. Okay, with them, the half of a bin for a bullock, a third of a bin for a ram, and a fourth of a hin for a lamb. Of the wine of grapes, this burnt sacrifice shall be offered at the beginning of every month, in the time of the removal of the beginning of the month in the year. 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering before Yah at the disappearing, the failure of the moon. With perpetual burnt sacrifice shalt thou perform with its libation. So I just said it before. The new moon is when there is no moon, and this is a separate sacrifice. So the first of the month is separate from the new moon feast.
Okay.
The new moon does not signal
The first of the month.
the first of the month.
So this here, what we just read, is the new moon festival.
Right. That's at verse 15. So the first of the month, right, is at Numbers 28 and 11. And the new moon festival is down at verse 15. They are separate. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And in the month of Nisan, on the 14th day, is the sacrifice of the Pascha before Yah. On the 15th day of the month is a festival. 7 days shall unleavened bread be eaten. So you can see 16 is Pascha, which is the 14th day in the evening. So Pesach is an evening festival. It's not a night festival. It's not a day festival. You're going to rest the Pesach day, and we're going to have this festival in the night. Then, in the morning of the 15th, starts the festival day of unleavened bread. On the first day of unleavened bread, the 15th day, is a holy convocation. No servile work shall ye do. Now, a holy convocation is a public address.
Oh.
Right? It's a grand assembly. All princes have to be in attendance. All leaders, governors, captains, everybody is to pay attention. It is the public address. That's what a holy convocation is. It is not any type of religiosity, right? I like is in like when I say with religiosity, it's not like to have church.
Right.
If you go to a Christian church, you know what I'm talking about. Whole lot of singing and dancing and ecstatic. No, we're getting ready to speak about national business.
Mm.
But an offering, an oblation of a burnt sacrifice before Yah, 2 young bullocks, 1 ram, and 7 lambs of the year unblemished shall you have. And their minches of wheat flour mingled with olive oil, 3 tenths for each bullock, 2 tenths for the ram, and for a single lamb, 1/10. So for the seventh, 1 kid of the goats to make atonement for you
Mm.
beside the burnt sacrifice of the morning, beside, next to, along with the
Right.
burnt sacrifice of the morning, the perpetual burnt sacrifice, you shall make these offerings.
Wow.
According to these oblations of the first day, you shall do daily through the 7 days of the festival. It is the bread of the oblation, which is received with favor before Yah, it shall be made beside the perpetual burnt offerings with its libations. So now it is telling you this convocation is not only a public address, it is a national holiday. So we will be observing all of these things. And the priests still have to keep up with the regular perpetual. So the perpetual does not fail, period.
Hmm.
So you don't not do the perpetual and then do the festival day. It must be in conjunction with. So the first thing you have to establish
It's
is
the
the perpetual.
perpetuals. Mm.
According to these oblations on the first day, okay, you shall do through the 7 days. And on the seventh day, you shall have a holy convocation. No servile work shall you do. This is at the closing of the festival. At the end of 7 days, there is another public assembly. Likewise, on the day of your firstlings, when you offer the gift from the new produce
Hmm.
before Yah in your ingatherings. See,
Hmm.
on the day of your firstlings, right? When you offer the gift from the new produce before Yah in your ingatherings.
Cause you gotta be in gathering something.
Now, listen to this. In your ingatherings, after the 7 weeks are
Completed.
completed, you shall have a holy convocation.
Yes.
Right? So, this is the ingathering festival at the end of the year. This is a fall festival.
Wow.
It's not a springtime festival, it's fall. So, it marks the beginning of the fall and then goes for 7 weeks, right? To the end of the harvest, right before the close of the winter season. Okay?
Hmm.
But a burnt offering to be received with favor before Yah, 2 young bullocks, 1 ram, 7 lambs of the year, also their mincha of wheat flour mingled with olive oil, 3 tenths for each bullock, 2 tenths for the ram, 1/10 to a lamb for the 7 lambs, 1 kid of the goats to make atonement for you. Now notice all this atoning.
Yeah.
This is atonement for you. So if we have this as a congregation, the whole of the congregation is made atonement for.
Mm.
The whole
Yes.
of the congregation is made atonement for,
Hmm.
right? Then as you grow and we have nations, right? The 12 nations, everybody from Asher all the way to Judah, everybody, right? From Reuben on down to Benjamin, if you're going from oldest to youngest. If you're going to have all of these nations at that time, then you can deal with your personal issues, your personal sacrifices, your personal givings. But this is the national one that you're reading here to make atonement for you as a nation, as a people. So when I tell you we have to do this, buy this land, build this, do this here as a nation, I'm not lying.
No.
And nobody is telling you, nobody else is going to tell you this. I'm not telling you this for me. I'm telling you this for you. Because after I have told you, my hands are clean. There is no blood on them. You died for your own sin. You don't listen.
So this is for Shavuot.
No, no, this
No.
is the firstlings. So this is after the first and the seventh day.
Okay.
And likewise, on the day of your firstlings, when you offer the gift from the new produce before Yah, this is like at the end of the of unleavened bread.
Okay.
So you do the Pesach. After the Pesach, you have 1 week. Then you begin the festival of weeks, the festival of Ingathering. It's on the 22nd day,
Okay.
right? Now you're going to bring all of this because you're going to make atonement and you're bringing in your firstlings.
Okay.
So your firstlings of your lambs and your rams, because it's time to give those,
Yes.
right? And now you're getting ready to get ready for the winter time, and you're starting to bring in the first of your harvest, and you're separating the omers. You're counting the omers. And when you say counting the omers, Rabbi Sheikh, what's counting the omers? That's a logical question. So a omer, think of an omer like a bushel, right? A basket, a crate, right? A big one. And so you're harvesting and you're filling up the crates, and every 10th crate goes to the priest. Done. So there's a weight called an omer. And this is what you're counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a tithing stick. You wave it over it. This for the priest. Take it away. It goes to the priest. Okay? That's counting the omer. Now you're going to be doing that for the 7 weeks. When you're finished with your field, say you finish your field in the week, you go and help your neighbor. Okay?
Yes, sir.
You go and help your neighbor. Right? If your stuff isn't ripe yet, you don't sit around for the festival. You get up, you go help your neighbor until yours becomes ripe. Yours might become ripe 2 or 3 weeks later. In that time, okay, my field is ripe, is ready for harvest. Now your neighbor works with you on your field. But this is what we're doing for the harvest time for these 49 days.
Wow.
1 kid of the goats to make an atonement for you, beside the perpetual burnt offering, along with
Right.
the perpetual burnt offering, you shall make these. They shall be unblemished with their libation of wine. So now you have to have the wine libation. Now notice the wine libation, it has to be at least 40 days old, which means from the time the grapes get ripe, you have to still wait 40 days. So if the grapes are ripe, when do grapes get ripe? They get ripe at the same time every year, around September-ish.
Right.
So now if you harvest the grapes first and you start making your wine, by the time it's the end of the festival for Shavuot, which is the renewing of the covenant, you have wine ready. See that?
Yes, sir.
Wine ready.
Yes, sir.
Because it takes 50 days. So now when you go into Shavuot, this is also, which also has its own, Shavuot also has its own protocols. Okay, but we'll get to them because it will explain itself. That's another thing. I don't have to do this off the top of my head. It's an open book test. Now, it's going to move on and say, in the seventh month, the month of Tishri, on the first of the month, you shall have a holy convocation. Why are we having a holy convocation in the month of Tishri on the first of the month? Because this is the beginning of the year. This is springtime. You may not do any servile work. It shall be to you a day for the sounding of the trumpet, that by the voice of your trumpet you may disturb Satana, who cometh to accuse you. So he comes to accuse you in the springtime at the beginning, the first day of the year. And you shall make a burnt sacrifice to be received with favor before Yah, 1 bullock, 1 ram, lambs of the year 7, and unblemished. And their mixture, wheat flour mingled with olive oil, 3/10 for the bullock, 2/10 for the ram, 1/10 for each of the 7 lambs, and 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering to make an atonement for you. So 7 lambs again. So this is similar to like Balaam, how he went and got 7 lambs, 7 rams, 7 cows,
Yes.
and did all that sacrificing. So this is the same ordinance which comes from the Most High. Same thing. We're going to deal with these 7. I gotta wait. My book is acting up. So you're gonna get these 7. So you're gonna do this on the first day of Tishri, which is a holy convocation, another public assembly. This is a offering that has to be done. 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering to make atonement for you. Beside the sacrifice for the beginning of the month and its mincha, and the perpetual sacrifices and its mincha, and their libations according to their appointments, and oblation to be received with favor before Yah. So now we have the 7th month's sacrifice, and it's on the first of the 7th month, which is spring, which is Tishri,
Which is the beginning of the year.
the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Right? So now the new moon sacrifice happens every month.
Right.
This one happens on the first day of the month, first day, day 1. Not a day of the week like you have been doing with all these other crazy calendars you guys come up with, talking about a Tuesday. Ain't no days of the week. We only have the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the 7th. And then it repeats to 21, all the way to 28. The new moon days are not counted against the month, but they are counted as days of the year. So wherever the new moon shows in, it's new moon day 1, new moon day 2, and new moon day 3 if you have a change of the seasons for winter, spring, summer, and fall.
Right.
Got it? Basics. Okay? And on the 10th month, on the 10th of the 7th month, the month of Tishri, springtime, you shall have a holy convocation and chasten your soul by abstaining from food, drink, the bath, friction, sandals, and the marriage bed, no sex. And you shall do no servile labor, no work, but offer a sacrifice before Yah to be received with favor, 1 bullock, 1 ram, lambs of the year, 7 of them, unblemished shall you have. So we have the 7 lambs. Again, we'll be back. All right, so you have the lambs of the year again, 7, and lambs of the year, 7, and unblemished you shall have, and their minches of wheat flour, mingled with olive oil, 3/10 for the bullock, 2/10 for one ram, 1/10 for a lamb, 7 for the 7 lambs, 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, beside the sin offering of the expiations, which are found in Leviticus 16. And the perpetual sacrifice and their minches and the wine of their libations. Okay?
Yes.
On the 5th day of the 7th month, you shall have a holy convocation. This is again, a public address, a royal assembly. No servile work shall you do, but shall celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles before Yah 7 days.
On the 5th day.
Okay? Now, this 5th day is a typo. It says 5th day. I just want you to read it. It's the 15th.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
It's the 15th. But I read it straight because I want you to know I recognize the typo.
Yes, sir.
Right? It's the 15th day. How do you know it's the 15th day? Because there's no conflict between festivals. We know the Day of Atonement is on the 10th day of Tishri, right? So now when we're doing the Festival of Tabernacles, now the Festival of Tabernacles, everybody has to be out camping. The same in our tents. So now the spring has come in fully. It's a nice, warm spring festival. We're out camping in our tents. And so now we have to have this feast for 7 days. Well, if you start on the 5th day, then you're going to end up on the
coming into
the 12th day when you finish.
Yeah,
you're going to have a conflict.
Right.
And the only time it won't conflict is if the new moon comes in during that festival time. Then it will end on the 10th day with the new moon day inserting the additional 2 days necessary. But that will only happen, once every 3 years or so?
Okay.
So it makes it odd. It's an error.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
How you know, Rabbi Sheikh? Because I made it. What? Yeah, if there's an error here, I had to have time to test it and to see. So it did come in properly one year, and when you did it on the 5th, but the new moon came in. So those were added to the festival days. But then in the next year, you're unable to complete the assignment because of the ordering of this festival, and it was compiling on top. And then there's a law that says there is no conflict of days between festivals. They don't do that. Then there's another ordering that says it's on the 15th day, and I knew that to be true, and that this 5th day is an error. So I leave myself a note. Okay? Ta-da! 5th day. All right. So now on the 5th day, you shall have a holy convocation. No servile work. It's the Feast of Tabernacles in the springtime. before Yah 7 days, and offer a sacrifice, an oblation to be received with favor before Yah. 13 young bullocks proceeding daily and diminishing in their number. In all, it will be 70 for the 70 nations, and offering them by 13 orders, 2 rams, which you shall offer by 2 orders, lambs of the year 14, unblemished, to be offered by 8 orders, and offering 6 of them by 2 and 2, and 2 of them one by one. They shall be perfect. Okay? So it's telling you it's 13 every day, but diminishing by 1 every day. Okay? Well, Rabbi Sheikh, what you talking about? So you start off with 13. The next day is 12. The next day is
11.
11, right? So 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, and 7 on the last day. And that's for the 70 nations. Da-doo. Their mixture also of wheat flour with olive oil, 3/10 for each bullock of 13, 2/10 for each ram, a single tenth for each of the 14 lambs, 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, which shall be offered by 1 order, beside the perpetual sacrifice, the wheat flour for the mincha, and the wine oblation. That is on the first day. On the second day of the Feast of Tabernacles, you shall offer 12 bullocks, 12 quarters. You're starting to see now?
Yes.
So it's starting to reduce by a day. And now you shall offer 12 bullocks by 12 orders, 2 rams by 2 orders, 14 lambs of the year by 9 orders. 5 of them shall you offer by 2. 4 of them shall you offer one by one. So when you're ordering them, you're lining them out and they're taking turns. So there's a procession. This is not kill them all and then cook them all at the same time.
Right.
There's teams. So you have these many orders of priests and they're set in order. Each one has their order and it comes in a procession and they get cooked. And this continues. And lambs by their number, according to the order of their appointments, 1 ram by 1 order, a sin offering, beside the perpetual sacrifice, and the wheat flour, and their mincha, and their libations of wine. On the third day of the festival, you shall offer 12 bullocks by 12 orders, 2 rams by 2 orders, 14 unblemished lambs of the year by 10 orders. 4 of them shall offer 2 and 2, and 6 of them one by one, and their wheat and their mincha, wheat flour, and their libations of wine you shall offer with the bullocks, rams, and lambs by their number in their appointed order. And 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, 1 offering by 1 order, beside the perpetual sacrifice. The wheat flour for the mincha and its libation of wine. Rabbi Sheikh, why you just keep reading? We're not getting all of this. You're not going to until you get here and actually start making the sacrifices and building up to have sufficiency to perform this right. There's no way. You need a prosperous nation living together in one place to actually do this.
And you just saying that, we this needs to be in our face to really understand that we need our land. We need our farms. We need, our agriculture. We need the raising of livestock. We need this. This is a need, not a want. So, us going through this piece by piece, it really should be slapping you in the face, and understand that no, you're not keeping the festivals.
Right.
You're not doing
If you're
it.
going to have, you have to understand they had this much.
Yeah.
They were doing this much, and the camp is 12 miles long and 12 miles wide. That is it. 12 miles and 12 miles. That is it. 12 miles and 12 miles was enough
To do it.
for them to have this much in sheep, livestock, cattle, and it didn't make a dent.
Right. Yeah.
12 miles by 12 miles. 12 tribes living in 12 miles by 12 miles. So they were grazing and they had a lot.
Right.
12 miles by 12 miles, right? You're talking about a few million people, 12 miles by 12 miles, and that was it. Okay?
And this here is returning back to our traditions.
Your traditionals and customs.
So so what has been given and shown to you for us to do is the way.
It's the only way.
It's the only way.
If we don't do this, there's nothing for us to do. You know, you can read the law all you want until you come back here and begin living it one by one, every man contributing to the purchase of the land and to living together and to build a community. There will be no salvation for you. This is the salvation. This is the redemption. You may not want to accept it, and that's fine. Don't. Like, believe me, like I have a very peaceful life. Like I get off this camera, I relax, I enjoy myself, I have good food, and I enjoy the peace of knowing that I did everything I was told to do by the text, literally and verbatim. So this tells you everything that you're supposed to have, and it never misses the perpetual. So you got to have the perpetual first, then you could build up for the feast days. Because if you look at this, the amount of food they are cooking on a day-to-day basis is so that everyone can eat.
Eat. It's not selfish at all.
Everyone is eating. Everyone. Everybody. Everybody's eating. On the fourth day of the festival, 10 bullocks. It was like a bug or a mosquito or something. I think it was a fruit fly. We got those fruits in there.
Yes.
10 young bullocks by 10 orders. So 10 young bullocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 orders. All right. 2 rams by 2 orders. 14 unblemished lambs of the year by 12 orders. 3 of them shall be ordered at 2 times, and 8 of them singly. Their mincha of wheat flour and their libations of wine, which you shall offer with the bullocks, rams, and lambs by their number, after their appointed order, 1 kid of a goat for a sin offering by 1 order, beside the perpetual sacrifice, the wheat flour for the mincha, and its libation of wine on the 5th day of the Feast of Tabernacles, 9 bullocks by 9 orders, 2 rams by 2 orders of the year 14, perfect by orders of 2 of them in a pair, 12 singly. And wheat flour for their mincha, and the libation of wine for the bullocks, the rams, and the lambs by their number after the order of their appointment. And one kid for a sin offering by one order beside the perpetual sacrifice, and the wheat flour for the mincha and the wine of its libation. And on day 6, 8 young bullocks, so we're down to 8, 2 rams by 2 orders, 14 unblemished lambs of the year by 13 orders, a pair of them together, and 12 of them singly, their mincha of wheat flour and their libations of wine. You shall offer with the bullocks, rams, lambs by their number in the appointed order. And 1 kid for a sin offering by one order beside the perpetual sacrifices, along with the wheat flour for the mincha, the wine of its libation, and a vase of water to be outpoured on the day of the festival in grateful acknowledgement for a good memorial of the showers of rain. Springtime. On the 7th day of the Feast of Tabernacles, you shall offer 7 bullocks by 7 orders, 2 rams by 2 orders, 14 unblemished lambs of the year by 14 orders. The number of these lambs, 98, to make atonement against the 98 maledictions. So there are 98 maledictions. That's it. There's only 98 curses. And the mincha of wheat flour and libations of wine you shall offer with the bullocks, rams, and lambs by their number, according to the order appointed, 1 kid by one order, beside, along with, the perpetual sacrifice, the wheat flour for the mincha and its libation of wine. And on the 8th day you shall gather together joyfully from your tabernacles in your houses, a gladsome company, a festal day, and a holy convocation shall you have. No servile work shall you do, but offer a sacrifice and oblation to be received with favor before Yah. Light oblations, 1 bullock before the one Allah, 1 ram for the one people, and lambs of the year unblemished, 7 for the joy of the 7 days. Their mincha of wheat flour and their libations of wine, which you shall offer with the bullocks, rams, and lambs by the number after the order of their appointments, 1 kid for a sin offering, beside, along with, the perpetual sacrifice, the flour for its mincha, and the wine for its libation. These you shall offer before Yah in the time of your festivals, beside your vows, which you vow at the festival, and you shall bring on the day of the feast with your free will oblation for your burnt sacrifice, your mincha, libation, and consecrated victims. Whew.
You know, while I was sitting here laughing every time we come across about wheat flour.
Wheat flour.
That's part of our diet.
I tell you, you gotta grow it yourself.
You gotta grow it yourself, but it's
That means the Most High don't want he don't want no other flour except wheat flour. He don't want your quinoa flour, your soy flour, your corn flour.
almond flour.
Your almond flour. He don't want nothing.
You want wheat.
Wheat flour.
Cause you know,
He don't care. You can make all that other flour and you can use it for whatever.
right.
You don't want it, but you can make it.
You know, cause you're told, oh, no wheat flour have gluten and all this kind of stuff. No, it's what we do.
That's what we do.
Might not be for the other
I
people,
don't care about y'all, other folks.
but for us,
Right.
we'd have weed.
I have wheat flour.
Oh my goodness. The deception is so real, I tell you. They try to put off what they can't do on us, and then we just adopt to it and take it upon ourselves. You following the ways of the other
Listen,
nations.
even if it was reasonably somebody of the tribes that had a gluten issue and they couldn't have wheat flour, that's fine. You don't have to eat the bread. It didn't say it was for you.
Right.
Right? Everything I just read is everything that the king and the priest have to offer. And this is all of this offering is to feed the entirety of the people for 7 days in this encampment. The festival, and they having all kind of festivals going on. They're doing camel races. They're enjoying themselves. The children are playing donkey races. Everybody's having a jolly good time. Festival. Well, one day at a time, one step at a time. We'll pick it up tomorrow. No, I'm gonna rest tomorrow. It's the
Yeah,
Shabbat.
it's the Shabbat tomorrow.
It's Shabbat tomorrow, so I'm gonna be resting. It'll be the
Yes.
14th day of Elul, I think, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Elul. So Tishri is next month, and there's no way for you guys to make it. So we're gonna be in error for the month of Tishri again. So when Satan comes to accuse you here in a couple of weeks, I want y'all all to know you have been guilty. Not me, because I was doing what I was told to do, and I told y'all to give, and y'all didn't listen. So you gonna be guilty, right? And so it is what it is. I appreciate y'all. I thank you for earning this war. I'm grateful for everything that's getting ready to come, because it is only through it that the redemption shall be. So I'm grateful. I'm happy because, for a moment there, I thought you guys would listen, because if you did listen, it would delay the time. But since you didn't, I'm grateful. It means I really am who I am, and you really are who you are, and you really deserve what's coming. Well, that's my time for today. I'll see y'all one step at a time, one day at a time.
One.